Do you breathe like a servant or like a sovereign? Breath is the first instrument of presence. It sculpts your nervous system and broadcasts authority before you speak. Ancient warriors and meditators trained respiration to steady body and mind. Jung saw it as the bridge to the shadow that others sense and obey. This short course will show you the physiology, the psychology, and the exact routines that turn breathing into a weapon of silent dominance. Promise, you will leave with concrete breath protocols and daily rituals that make your presence heavier, calmer, and uncontestable. Breathe now, slowly. Do not rush. Do not fidget. Let the act itself impose weight upon your chest, upon your nerves, upon your mind. The first conscious inhale is not just air, it is the line between noise and command, between the man carried by circumstance and the man who drags circumstance into his orbit. Jung once wrote of symbols rising from the unconscious as if drawn upward by some hidden current. Breath is that current. It is the invisible chain that yanks the shadow from its abyss and lays it at your feet. Most men have never once breathed like a sovereign. Their chests flutter shallowly, their shoulders collapse forward, their nervous systems flicker like a candle battered by wind. They mistake survival for composure. But a single act of deliberate inhalation, deep, slow, diaphragmatic, plants a flag in the battlefield of physiology. The heart rate bends, the vagus nerve wakes, shoulders retract as if armor were suddenly fitted. Those watching will not name what they sense, but they will sense it. Pause here. Inhale deliberately. 3 seconds. Expand the lower belly, not the shallow chest. Let silence ride on your back. Hold. Now, release. Already you feel the iron creeping into posture. That is the first draw. It is the beginning of sovereignty. Ancient warriors were not foolish when they built their rituals around breath. Before battle, hoplites would steady themselves with slow inhales through the nose, filling their torsos until armor groaned against it. Samurai used kokyuho, structured inhalation to align mind and blade, breath and strike. This was no superstition, it was recognition that air is fuel for the nervous system, and nervous system is the throne of authority. He who controls breath controls the rhythm of fear, his own and everyone else's. Jungian insight frames this not merely as a biological hack, but as a gateway to archetype. The sovereign archetype, king, ruler, commander, emerges not through thought, but through embodiment. Breath is the ritualized key. With each intentional draw, the unconscious shadow is reminded who commands. You are not the servant gasping in shallow spurts. You are the figure whose lungs expand like cathedral doors, who fills the silence with something more massive than sound. Notice what happens around you when you do this in public. Enter a room. Do not speak. Place your hands steady, unclenched, upon the table. Take one breath, slow, visible, unashamed. Those near you will falter in conversation, not understanding why their tempo has shifted. This is the hidden contagion of respiration. Their primitive brain mirrors your rhythm. They inhale when you inhale. They slow because you slow. You are imposing tempo without a word. Pause. Do it again. Inhale now while reading. This act is not symbolic. It is a direct physiological reprogramming. 3 seconds in, 2 seconds hold. Let the jaw loosen, then let go. If you obeyed, you are no longer reading as a passive consumer. You are reading as a participant. Already you feel heavier in your chair. Already the mind, that scattered hound, is chained to the mast. Nietzsche once said that great men are sculptors of chaos. But what is the first chisel? It is breath. Chaos lives in shallow gasps, in the quickened pulse of prey. Sculpt it with deliberate inhales, and chaos becomes order. The very first draw of air each morning is the hammer striking marble. Do it unconsciously, and the day sculpts you. Do it with weight, and you sculpt the day. The antagonist here is the inner servant, the part of you that survives instead of commands. The servant breathes like prey, upper chest, shallow, hurried. He is the slave of adrenaline. He never dares slow his lungs because slowness reveals vulnerability. He must be starved. You starve him with each deliberate inhalation. Every time you feel panic and yet breathe down into the belly, you deny him oxygen. You feed instead the ruler, The Shadow King, the part of you that others will obey without knowing why. Micro Rule 1. Breathe before you move. Before you open your mouth, before you rise from a chair, before you send a message. Anchor every action to a breath. This ties behavior to physiology and severs the servant's grip. Micro Rule 2. Expand down, not up. Let the belly, not the shoulders, swell. The man who lifts his shoulders announces frailty, announces gasp. The man who expands downward into the core signals rootedness, weight, a center that cannot be shifted. Micro Rule 3. Do not hide the breath. Shallow gasps are invisible. Sovereign breaths are seen. Do not fidget to conceal them. Allow the chest to rise like architecture. This is not weakness. This is demonstration. When Cicero spoke, his oratory was tethered not merely to words, but to measured respiration. The Roman rhetorician Quintilian trained students to sustain cadence with deliberate diaphragmatic cycles. The first draw before speech was the true opening argument. We have forgotten this. We imagine eloquence emerges from vocabulary. It emerges from breath. Visualize it. You enter a chamber. Torches or fluorescence, it does not matter. Noise clatters. Men speak too quickly. Women shift nervously. You do not cut them with words. You cut them with silence filled by one deliberate inhale. They cannot help but notice. The air thickens. It is not mystical. It is biology. You have reset the rhythm of the group. Pause again. Take another 3-second inhale. Hold. Release. This is practice. Each repetition etches the sovereign deeper. The servant resists. He whispers, "This is trivial." No one notices. He is wrong. The body notices. The autonomic system notices, and others notice at a level below consciousness, the level where attraction, fear, trust, and authority are born. Now finalize this initiation with a ritual. For the next 6 hours, once every hour, stop. Take one deliberate breath, 3 seconds in, hold, release. That is all. But by the 6th repetition, you will feel a heaviness that lingers even when not breathing deliberately. This heaviness is presence, and presence is the soil from which dominance grows. Breathe deep now. Plant the first stone of presence. Authority is not in the taking, it is in the releasing. The inhale summons weight, but the exhale wields it. The inhale builds the fortress, the exhale opens its gates. To master only the draw is to gather without directing. The true dominion begins when the breath leaves you, slow, measured, absolute. Most men collapse at this threshold. They exhale quickly, carelessly, as if discarding what they could not hold. This is weakness disguised as instinct. Power is never thrown away. Power is dispensed like coin from the hand of a ruler, deliberately, sparingly, with intention. To exhale slowly is to teach your nervous system that you are not prey running for shelter. You are the predator who wastes nothing. The ancients knew. Pranayama masters called it rechaka, the controlled, lengthened exhale that dissolves chaos and draws the mind into silence. Samurai trained not only to strike, but to exhale in harmony with the strike, releasing tension only at the precise moment steel touched flesh. Even Roman orators learned to descend their exhale slowly, tapering speech with cadence that made the silence itself feel sculpted. Pause. Do it now. Inhale deeply, as before. But do not release quickly. Let it pour out in a stream unbroken, as though you are whispering a secret to the world, yet without words. Let the body feel the control. Let the mind feel the authority. This is not oxygen leaving you. This is dominance expressed through rhythm. Carl Jung spoke often of symbols as languages of the unconscious. What then is the symbol of a slow exhale? It is death, controlled. Every outbreath mimics the body's last release. To slow it is to hold death at arm's length, to say, not yet. You command even the primal reflex. You announce to the shadow, I dictate the tempo of endings. I decide when silence comes. The antagonist here is panic itself, the shadow of suffocation. Panic lives in hurried exhales. It whispers, release now, too fast, before control slips. and most obey. But the man who exhales slowly demonstrates that he has reversed the roles. Panic breathes him no longer. He breathes panic, then expels it, strand by strand, until nothing remains but quiet will. Micro Rule 1. Double the exhale. If you inhale for 3 seconds, exhale for 6. This lengthening tilts the body from fight into dominion, from chaos into clarity. Micro Rule 2. Exhale through the nose, not the mouth. The nose refines, slows, contains. The mouth leaks power. The sovereign does not leak. He shapes. Micro Rule 3. End on stillness. After the exhale, allow 2 seconds of empty lungs. This is void, and void is throne. From here you choose when to summon air again. Nietzsche said that the truly strong man is capable of willing nothingness. The slow exhale is practice of this will. Each deliberate release is rehearsal for confronting the void without flinching. Others sense it in your cadence. The man who speaks with slow exhalations is felt as unshakable, even when silent. The woman listening does not hear words alone. She feels the gravity of intervals. Colleagues mistake it for charisma. It is merely respiration mastered. Visualize this: a chamber full of hurried voices, laughter rattling, words spilling. You step in, you do not try to match them, you do not rush to speak. You inhale, then you exhale so slowly the very air seems to thicken. A few glance toward you, confused at first, then subtly silenced. Their unconscious systems mirror yours. The tempo drops. A hush spreads like oil across water. You never demanded it. You imposed it. Pause again. Try. Inhale for 3. Hold. Exhale for 6. Feel how your spine straightens. Feel how your chest empties, but your presence does not. The servant inside you, the weakling gasping for immediate release, is quiet now. He withers in the void you created. Jung's shadow work speaks here too. Each slow exhale is an exorcism of what is unworthy. Anger, lust, fear, shame, they all hitch themselves to hurried breath. You strip them loose by stretching the release. Imagine them dissolving as the air thins. What remains is the sovereign, poised, measured, silent. And silence, true silence, is the weapon few dare wield. The crowd fears it. The weak fear it. The inner servant fears it. But you, ruler of your lungs, sit upon it as throne. Make it ritual. Once daily, stand in front of a mirror. Inhale slowly. Exhale slower, until the glass fogs not with urgency, but with control. Watch yourself command emptiness. Watch the shadow retreat. Over weeks, you will notice conversations bend differently. Arguments will stall against you. Women will lean unconsciously toward your rhythm. Men will falter when speaking too quickly in your presence, all because you mastered the release. Exhale now, slow, controlled. Stretch it until nothing remains but a heavy stillness. The next chapter will show you how silence itself, beyond breath, becomes fortress. But first, you must leave this one truth burned into your chest. Power is not only in the taking of air, it is in the artful giving away. There is a weapon sharper than any blade, a shield stronger than iron, a fortress that requires no stone to defend it. That weapon is silence. That fortress is the space you build when you decide not to speak. Most men squander this power. They fill every gap with noise, fearing the pause, terrified of the void between words. But the sovereign knows. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence multiplied. It is not weakness. It is a throne invisible yet undeniable. Breathe slowly now. Recall the exhale. The room quiets when you master it. But silence does more. It shapes the air into an architecture around you. Every word you do not say becomes a wall. Every withheld reply becomes a gate. The more you build, the more others feel contained within your presence. Carl Jung once said that man's shadow is revealed most clearly in silence. The chatter, the explanations, the excuses, all these are masks. Strip them away, and what remains is the raw self, naked before the stillness. Most cannot endure it. They squirm, they fill the space with nervous laughter. They pour words into the void like sand into an abyss. But you will not. You will stand silent, and in that silence, you will reign. Picture this: a crowded table. A man argues loudly, gestures violently, demands attention. You sit back, calm, unmoved. You say nothing. He turns to you for validation, for fuel, for recognition. You give him none. His energy collapses against your walls of silence. He is left to fight shadows. You remain untouchable. This is Fortress. The antagonist here is the inner servant of compulsion, the urge to explain, to justify, to fill. That voice whispers, "Say something now, or they will forget you, dismiss you, disrespect you." And the weak obey, spilling their power in desperate streams of noise. But the sovereign hears the voice and refuses. He holds his ground, and the ground becomes unshakable. Micro Rule 1. Withhold first response. When someone challenges you, pause before answering. 3 seconds of silence command more respect than 30 words of defense. Micro Rule 2. Lower your volume deliberately. If you must speak, reduce your tone until silence seems louder. The fortress does not shout, it absorbs. Micro Rule 3. Let others break before you do. Silence stretches like a rope. Hold it. Watch them fidget, explain, justify. They bleed power into the void while you conserve yours. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote that a prince should appear rarely, speak rarely, and always with calculated impact. He knew that silence is not emptiness, it is scarcity, and scarcity breeds value. The fewer your words, the greater their weight. A single stone in an empty hand is noticed, a pile of stones is ignored. Imagine now the fortress itself, not stone, not wood, but a chamber built from restraint. Every moment you do not speak lays another brick. Every withheld comment strengthens the wall. Inside you sit in calm darkness, untouchable. Outside the noise pounds against your gates, desperate to enter, desperate for your recognition. But you open the gate only when it serves you. Pause. Try it. Let your environment fill with noise. Hold your silence. Resist the servant who panics. Let the silence thicken around you. Soon the noise will bend. Others will glance toward you, searching your face for cues, hungering for a word. And when you finally release one, it will land like a decree. Nietzsche believed that true greatness is not in endless expression, but in restraint, what he called the ability to endure long silences. In that endurance, the man becomes more than man. He becomes a figure, a symbol. Others project onto him their fears, their desires, their respect. Silence is the canvas on which power paints itself. The fortress of silence does not isolate you, it magnifies you. In relationships, silence creates tension. A lover waits, imagines, fills the gap with her own desire. In leadership, silence creates weight. Subordinates interpret, assume, bend to your imagined expectations. In conflict, silence creates unease. The opponent doubts himself, questions his ground, falters. Make it discipline. Train not only your body, but your pauses. In conversation, leave words unfinished. In negotiation, let silence drag until the other fills it with concession. In intimacy, let the breath of silence linger longer than expected, until the other leans toward you, compelled to break it. This is fortress, and within this fortress, you remain untouchable, not because you withdrew, but because you mastered the rhythm of absence. The fortress is not built to keep you inside. It is built to make the world bend around its walls. Exhale once more. Do not speak. Sit in the fortress. Hold the void as throne. The next chapter will reveal how rhythm, the cadence of speech, of breath, of silence, becomes a weapon sharper than any sword. But first, stay within the fortress. Learn its weight. Learn its protection. Power is not only in what you say, it is in how you pace it. The pauses, the crescendos, the silences between. Authority is rhythm. Command is cadence. Most men stumble in speech the way a novice stumbles on drums, rushing, uneven, desperate to be heard. They drown themselves in cluttered sentences, spilling energy without form. But a man of command does not speak as if in conversation. He speaks as if conducting a symphony. Every word lands like a strike. Every pause holds like a note suspended in air. You have felt it. You have seen it. The leader who enters a room and begins with silence, then speaks one word, slowly, deliberately. His tone rises slightly, then falls into stillness. The rhythm itself seduces. He does not need to argue, for his very voice carries inevitability. This is command. Think of the breath. Inhalation, exhalation. The body itself knows rhythm. Your lungs never rush, never stutter, unless panic takes you. The sovereign imitates this in speech. He inhales silently, then releases words like exhalations. They carry weight because they are rooted in natural order. The antagonist here is chaos, social noise, inner anxiety, the servant who compels you to rush. Chaos whispers, hurry, fill, impress, and the weak obey, stumbling, speaking too fast, too much without measure. But rhythm conquers chaos. A man who commands rhythm cannot be hurried. He bends time itself. Micro Rule 1. Match rhythm to dominance. Speak slower when challenged. Let your rhythm declare that you are unshaken. Micro Rule 2. Insert deliberate pauses. 3 seconds of silence mid-sentence makes the room hold its breath. Pauses are not mistakes. They are weapons. Micro Rule 3. Control endings. Never let your words trail into weakness. End sentences with firmness, as though striking a drum. The echo remains even after you are silent. Machiavelli advised that rulers must shape perception more than reality. Rhythm is perception sculpted into sound. You may not have the sharpest logic nor the strongest evidence. Yet, if your rhythm carries inevitability, they will follow. For men follow certainty of tone more than clarity of fact. Picture this. A battlefield. One commander shouts orders, frantic, voice cracking, words tripping over one another. His men hesitate. Another commander speaks slowly, firmly, without rush. His words cut through noise like a bell tolling over chaos. His rhythm steadies their breath, aligns their step. He wins before the fight begins. Nietzsche knew this as well. He wrote that style itself is power. How words are spoken matters as much as their content. A sovereign rhythm transforms ordinary speech into decree. It is why some voices echo centuries later, while others vanish into dust. Practice it now. Slow your speech. Breathe. Say less, but with rhythm that demands attention. Imagine your words as stones dropped into still water. Each drop creates a ripple. Each ripple reaches far. Do not throw stones wildly. Drop them with precision. In relationships, rhythm commands desire. The lover who rushes is forgotten. The lover who slows his words, who speaks with intervals of silence, creates anticipation. Desire feeds on rhythm, not chaos. In conflict, rhythm destabilizes the opponent. When you refuse to rush, when you speak with calm cadence, his pulse accelerates. He burns energy faster, loses control. Rhythm exposes weakness without lifting a finger, and in leadership, rhythm builds inevitability. A man who controls time through cadence becomes a reference point. Others unconsciously align their breathing, their pace, their expectations to him. He does not merely speak, he conducts reality. Micro-action. For the next conversation, halve your speed. Insert silence where you would normally rush. Watch how others lean closer, straining to catch each word. That leaning is power shifting toward you. Rhythm is not performance, it is sovereignty. When you master rhythm, your words become architecture, your silence becomes foundation, and your breath becomes the pulse of authority. The fortress of silence gave you walls. The rhythm of command gives you movement. Now you are ready for the final weapon. The breath of dominance itself, the ancient practice Jung traced to forgotten rituals of kings and warriors. Prepare yourself, for in the final chapter, the breath will no longer be merely survival, it will become dominion. Power begins in breath. Before you speak, before you move, before you even choose, breath shapes the rhythm of your existence. Jung knew this. He saw in ancient practices that rulers and mystics alike guarded their breath as a source of unseen strength. It was not superstition, it was recognition. For breath is the one act you cannot live without, and yet it can be mastered into weaponry. Most men breathe shallow, unconscious, like prey hiding from predators. They inhale fast, exhale faster, choked by invisible chains of stress. This is the breath of the servant. Weak, hurried, reactive. A man who breathes shallow cannot command, because his body betrays him long before his words do. The breath itself reveals his submission, but the sovereign breathes differently. He draws air into the depths, slowly, as if claiming time itself. He holds, then releases with control, as though every exhalation carries decree. This is why in temples, in war camps, in palaces, breath was ritual. Warriors aligned their breath before battle. Kings trained themselves to breathe with weight before entering their courts. Breath meant more than survival. It meant dominion. Imagine entering a room. You do not rush words. You inhale deeply, the silence stretching, making others uneasy. Your exhale is steady, slow, like wind across stone. Then you speak. Each word flows from breath, not from panic. The effect is hypnotic. You do not beg for attention. It is granted to you because the rhythm of your lungs imposes itself upon the rhythm of the room. Jung described the shadow as the unseen master of the psyche. Breathwork confronts it, for when you lengthen your breath, the shadow weakens. The anxious servant inside, the one who fears rejection and seeks approval, is starved of oxygen. Instead, the sovereign self awakens, feeding on calm, focused breath. Micro Rule 1. Inhale as if drawing power inward. Deep, controlled, silent. Micro Rule 2. Hold the breath as though holding authority itself. Stillness creates tension. Tension creates presence. Micro Rule 3. Exhale like command. Slow, deliberate, firm. Let the air leave like decree leaving your lips. This is not relaxation. This is domination. Breathwork is a ritual of power. The ancients understood this. Samurai warriors trained with the practice of kokyu, breathing aligned with strikes, breath guiding the sword. Roman generals prepared speeches by controlling the length of their breath, so every sentence carried resonance. Even mystics, cloaked in robes, chanted not merely for devotion, but because breath, repeated in rhythm, entranced listeners, bending their will toward the divine. Breath builds energy. When shallow, it scatters. When deep, it consolidates. With each controlled inhale, you summon strength. With each measured exhale, you radiate authority. Your chest no longer collapses inward like prey. It expands outward like fortress walls. Picture yourself in confrontation. The other man grows louder, rushed, his breath shallow, voice cracking. You do not match his chaos. Instead, you breathe slowly, deeply, your silence heavier than his noise. He expends energy, you conserve it. He becomes red with panic. You become immovable stone. This is dominion. Nietzsche declared that to command oneself is the highest order of power. Breath is the entry point. If you cannot rule your lungs, how can you rule your world? Mastery begins not in theory, but in oxygen, in control of the very force that animates you. In intimacy, the same rule applies. The lover who gasps and stumbles loses tension. The lover who breathes slow, steady, deliberate, commands desire without words. Women sense rhythm not only in voice, but in breath. It is the silent signal of strength. In solitude, the breath forges inner order. Each inhale cleanses the noise. Each exhale expels weakness. You are not simply calming yourself, you are reprogramming your nervous system to obey sovereignty. Anxiety is a pattern of breath. Rewire the breath, and you rewire destiny. Now, the micro-action. For the next 7 days before sleep, practice the sovereign cycle. 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds silence. Repeat 10 times. Do not imagine it as meditation. Imagine it as forging iron lungs of command. With repetition, your very body will remember. You will breathe like rulers once breathed. The antagonist, the servant within, will resist. He will say, "This is pointless. This is too simple. Return to distraction." Ignore him. His survival depends on your weakness. Do not grant him breath. With each cycle, suffocate him. With each cycle, feed the sovereign. And so the circle closes. From the fortress of silence, to the ritual of air, to the rhythm of command, everything leads here. Breath is the source. It is the unseen weapon. It is the dominion carried inside your chest, invisible to the world until released. Do not breathe like prey. Do not gasp like the servant. Breathe like the sovereign. Inhale the world. Hold it. Then exhale as decree. Your words will follow. Your actions will follow. And men will know, not because you told them, but because they felt it, that your breath itself commands.